Hello, good afternoon, good morning. This is Caterina Occhio. Thank you very much for having me with you today. I'm very sorry I couldn't be there with you, but COVID has disrupted a lot of agendas, including mine and yours and everybody's. But anyway, I'm happy to have this opportunity to talk with you this morning, thanks to technology. So my name is Caterina Occhio. Um, I'm Italian. I live in the Netherlands, and has been sustainability has not always been part of my career. To be honest, when I started with the United Nations and with the European Commission some times ago, the word did not exist. We never used the word sustainability. We were talking about social development, environmental protection, but the terms has become very popular recently. It first was a trend. It was a trend, and thanks to the pandemic, has moved from being a trend to become a necessity. I think that many organizations are just realizing now that it is no longer an option to start the sustainability journey. And I hope that today I can give you another insight, or maybe a slight more different point of view from what normally is meant by sustainability in the business world. So the topic I want to talk to you about is social sustainability, what very often is considered the lesser god of the new sustainability religion. And I hope I can build a case and argue that social sustainability could become an opportunity for an added value that you can build your growth upon. Now, the first quotes that I'd like to talk to you about, which is a bit the underlining of quote of what I'm going to talk to you about, is that it is time to swap platitude and promotional noise and start to implement meaningful action. And this is necessary because, as I told you, from one side, new rules are coming. The European Commission has made very clear, and many more legislators around the world have made very clear, that new rules are coming that will force business to go into that direction. ESG is more and more used by banks and investors to decide investment, to support their investment decision. Consumers, your client are asking for more and more transformational change. So basically, you have a pressure from the top and a pressure from the bottom. And that's where you are standing as a business, any kind of business right now. So it is time to stop from noise and make some real actions, because actually, essentially, you don't have a choice anymore. Let me talk to you about what I mean by sustainability strategy that you need to implement. You know, the first part of the 90s and beginning of the 20s, of the zeros, I don't know how to call them, 2000 zeros, CSR, sustainability, has always been focused on being compliant, basically from doing as negative effect as possible, which means being in line with the legal requirement and making sure that no much negative would come from it on the planet and on the people. This is the basis. This is the CSR 1.0, which is must be focused on doing less bad. Now, your role, if you really wanted to harvest this necessary journey that you have to start, or that you have to keep on moving forward, is to transform your CSR 1.0 from less bad to CSR 2.0 to more good. What does it mean? It means that just being in line with the rules and the regulation is no longer sufficient. That what people expect from you, what society and legislator will expect from you, is to have a positive impact on people and the planet that is in line with who you are and with your DNA. Now, I'm briefly going through again, probably this slide has been seen from, I hope it's very clear. It's redundant to say it, but I want to make sure again that the three main areas of the ESG is environmental, social, and governance. I think I'm telling you nothing new about here. And this is what normally it entitles the three main areas. So each of the three main areas can be divided into many more subjects. And as you see here, the economic standard, which are the one we are mostly focusing on, are somehow less than the social standard. The environmental standard. This is the Global Resource Index, which is normally used to report any organization effort towards being a more sustainable and responsible organization. And now let's come to the main point of my talk today. Most effort right now are concentrating on environmental, and a lot of high visibility environmental initiatives are overshadowing social concerns. Have you ever tried to ask anybody around you, what does sustainability mean? Well, most likely you will agree with me that for everybody, sustainability identifies with doing less harm to the to the environment and being, responsible for the climate change, which is true. But as I just showed you before, this is only one side of the coin that has three main aspects, as we just saw. If I can put it blindly, nowadays, saying that you are going towards sustainability and focusing just on the environment is like saying you are a bit dead. You can't be a bit dead. You're either dead or you're alive. So if you really want to be sustainable, you can't skip the social part of your actions. What is it? What is social sustainability? We have seen can be divided in several chapters, mostly related to your human resources, to how you treat the people, how you treat your direct employees, but it has a broader meaning. It is your impact on people and society around you. Companies do not work in a vacuum. You are not on a white tower isolated for what happens around you. You happen to work and to interact and to have direct and indirect effect on everything around you. So social sustainability is a proactive way of managing and identifying business impact on employees, workers in the value chain, customers, and local communities. So it's who you are and what you do in the physical space. You do it, not just related to the people, to the planet, but to the people. Why are organizations focusing on the environment? It's very simple, because the social component is much more difficult to organize. When you are tackling the social part and the people that you affect with your business practices, you are basically saying that you want to change the processes. And the public is no longer accepting non-adherence to this fundamental principle of CSR. Let me make a very practical example. Whatever you do, you are buying, you are producing, you have a supply chain for products or services, because you need that to operate for whatever industry you work. If you're in the tourist industry, you have a supply chain of services providers and have a supply chain of products providers, from your restaurants up until your logistics and transportation. So you buy services. Well, if you really want to have a positive impact on all the people that you rely on in the supply chain, it is more complex. It's much more complex than just changing the packaging of your product with for PET recycled or GRS certified recycled material. Because basically what you're saying is that you start changing the entire supply chain. You start changing the way you interact with your own people at headquarters and also with what happens in the supply chain. And that is difficult, we all know. If tomorrow I will tell to you, you know, let's be all more social sustainable and let's start to buy services and products only from providers that pay their workers a living wage, which means not just a minimum wage, but what a worker needs in order to be able to afford a family with two kids on one on leave salary a month. So if I would say, you know, from now on, we only buy services and products from people that pay their people much better, well, all of a sudden, your margin will be squeezed first. And second, half of your suppliers will not qualify. So you will have to change your supply chain. Think about that. It would be very, very difficult. And this is why it's easier to focus on the planet than on the people. Now, the issue I want to discuss with you today is that, but if you do that, if you focus on the social part of your sustainability, you may unlock new markets and you can attract and retain business partners as long as having new product and service line. Most importantly, your own people will be more motivated. What is essential in your social sustainability strategy is something that I have slightly touched before. It is aligning your personal and corporate value. What does it mean? It means that if you as a company have as a key value that, I don't know, animal welfare is important to you, or that, for example, the people around your company in the company are your main assets, where you have to make sure that your social sustainability is reflecting your values. Okay, so again, if animal welfare is essential for you, well, your social sustainability has to focus on that, because that's how you create an added value. Coherence and consistency in your priorities are essential and very easy to be understood by your final client or customers, whatever you want to call it. One very important thing that I would like to stress is that nowadays, social sustainability is very much focused on philanthropy. Huh? What happens is that people just decide to make donations to the charity of their choice and they think that social sustainability is done. Well, it's not longer going to be enough. My suggestion to you today is to move away from philanthropy and consider a new upcoming and very, very important issue, that is social procurement. You see, we all want our business to grow. We all want to have exponential double-digit EBITDA. We all want that. But how do you reconcile the growth of your company with the positive impact that we said it's going to be asked more and more by your investors and by your client? Social procurement could do that. And let me tell you what it is, how you can do it. As I said, you buy a lot of services, you buy a lot of products. What if your purchase power, your ability to give jobs to other people, you use it with a positive discrimination? You may decide through social procurement to say, you know what, from tomorrow, even because I cannot change all my supply chain, but I devote a part of my sourcing, of my procurement to social enterprises. It is that simple. If you can do it indirectly by deciding, I'm going to support through mentoring and through training the uplifting and of the skills of fragile groups. On the labor market, there are groups, especially post-pandemic, that cannot find a job. You have the power to support those marginalized, fragile groups into the labor market and having a positive social impact. As I said, you can do it through indirectly by using your mentoring and your people to train them, or you can do it, and which is my main suggestion to you, through direct sourcing from them. What does it mean? It means that whenever you buy a service or product, you may choose to have a positive discrimination and give that job to a social enterprise that employs disabled people, or that employs women survivors of violence, or people that are coming from jail. So as you have to organize an event, right? That's this event that you organize, these conferences. If you would have used your power in organizing this concert by saying your purchase power, by saying, you know what, all the catering, all the food that we are going to have, the beautiful meals in Cyprus that we're going to have these days, is going to be cooked by handicapped people. What does it mean? You have just done social procurement. You have just moved away from philanthropy, and you have given the possibility to a marginalized group to get a job. And that didn't cost you much. That social procurement mentality will allow you to mitigate the negative effect of economic growth, give you a better exposure, giving you the possibility to tell a beautiful story and engage your final customer into an effective, positive social change. And that's the economic model that I strive and advocate ever since I started to work with sustainability. Strive to have a beautiful, meaningful, and profitable new economic model. Beautiful because in your the quality of the services of the product that you provide or the service that you provide have to be of very high standard. That's how you make sure that your customers are happy. So first of all, never compromise of the quality of your services. But second and most importantly, making sure that your service or products have a positive, meaningful impact on the planet and on the people. And in this way, you will create a profitable, long-term, sustainable business. So beautiful, meaningful, and profitable is what I hope for the entire industry to become the new reference frame. This was my intervention for today. I hope I made my case. I hope I can instill a little seed into your way of making business, and that together we can create a purposeful and profitable new economic process. Thank you very much.